Myron. I've been with Eplan for over 25 years now, and I am the product manager for Eplan Pre-Planning, Eplan Fluid, and Eplan Electric P8. We hope that you are enjoying Rockwell Automation Fair at home today. Today we are going to show you how you can start bidding faster by using pre-planning as a tool upfront to capture all of the data necessary to make sure your bid is accurate, and using the system to generate that bid quickly. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat and we'll go through those right away. Thanks again for joining us, and let's go ahead and get started. So today's webcast is going to give you an idea on how to better handle bidding processes and calculating quotes in regards to controls design projects. If we look at today's approach, a customer will typically use a Word document, an Excel file, maybe some Visio drawings or some other kind of drafted graphical elements, and he'll try to combine this information also with his experience and assign prices and times and scheduling to various different items on that particular project, and try and collect that information and summarize it to get a total quote. This is mainly working because the person doing the quote has done a quote multiple different times and is very experienced in the art of putting systems together and understanding what does it take to put them together. The challenge, however, is if the experienced person is not there, figuring out how can we calculate the time needed to design a system, put systems together, attach prices to it, and store that information in libraries where we can reuse that information so the next quote can be accurate and with the same amount of information without always having to reinvent the wheel. And there are not really any tools today out there to be able to help a user do that. And this is why the approach that we want to showcase today is using our tool Eplan Pre-Planning as a planning tool to help users capture controls information early on in the design process, right away, right up close when a operator might be planning a system or asking for some bidding, and easily capture graphical objects, easily capture control systems, easily assign quoting data and reporting that data to actually generate or quote or information for a specific quote. So on that note, we'll jump over to Eplan and then we'll kind of walk through the process and get you a better understanding of how that can work in Eplan. Here, I've opened up the Eplan platform, the Eplan software, and on the left-hand side, you can see I have two pages open, one blank page. I have here my pre-planning tree, which is a logical view on specific objects. So without designing any kind of graphical elements, the first thing we can do is even create a logical tree structure. So we have a structure element, we've got a planning object, so I'm going to use my structure element to define a plant. This plant will have a name, for example, P1. I can add some descriptions if I need to. In my plant P1, I'm going to create a new structure element. It's going to be a set of buildings. So it's going to be building 1. And in this building 1, I will add another structure, which will be area 1, for example. You can easily modify the properties after they've been used if needed. And in this area 1, I'm going to also have a new structure, not for this one, sorry, in the building 1, I'm going to have an area 2. And if you want to, you can even copy and paste an area 3 in there, and the system can automatically help you create a structure very easily. So this is a way to organize the data that you need to create your controls design project. In area one, I'd like to define a motor system. I need a motor control system, so I need to define that and capture the information associated with it. So in this case, I'm going to create a new planning object. A planning object can really be anything. It can be an actuator, it could be a converter, it could be a machine, it could be a pickup, or you can customize whatever you want. It could be an enclosure, it could be a valve manifold, it could be a conveyor system, it could be a robot, really absolutely whatever you want it to be. You can organize it however you need it to be. So in this case, I'm just going to take a motor, and this motor, I'm going to give it a name, for example, DRV1, drive 1. And this is going to be specific for my conveyor number 1. In this planning object, we see these different attributes. One is expenditure construction, expenditure planning, expenditure software. What do these mean? These are to capture times. For example, how long is it going to take to assemble and build that motor onto my system? How long is it going to take to plan that particular motor? And how long is it going to take to program it? And finally, calculation value is how much is it going to cost? So let's say for this motor, I'm not going to consider just the motor. I'm going to consider the motor plus the cables, plus the terminals, plus the variable frequency drive, and the protection devices all together. And putting that together is probably going to be at least an 8-hour process. So I'm just going to say 8 hours here. For planning the motor, it's probably going to be 2 hours. You have to size it and figure out how long the cables are going to be. And then to program it is probably going to be an hour to identify the function block and put it in the system. And calculation value, those types of motors with the drive, with everything, it runs at about $8,500, and I can capture a value. Now that I've done this, I can use that drive, and for example, I need one for my area 2, my area 3, so I can easily copy this. I can paste it, and I can paste it in my different areas. And as you can see, I haven't done a single page of drawing. All I've done is captured some control elements for my control system. And right there and then, without any further information, I can generate already a preliminary quote. So I'm going to go to Utilities, use my reporting techniques to generate a report, which would be which is a pre-planning object overview. I'm just going to generate this report, and I'm going to put it on page 3. That's it. There's my report, and let's take a look at it. And now what's happened is these 3 objects that I created have been summarized in a report, which is my planning object overview. It could be my quote. I've got my 3 conveyors, I got my planning time, I got my construction time, and I've got a summarized value here at the end for total value of my system. So this already gives me a really good idea in regards to the quote that I want to put together. And if you want to add another 10% on top of that, then that could be your final number if you wanted to. Additionally to that, each one of these drives can also carry I/O information. So I'm going to select all these drives since they're very similar. I can add, for example, PLC I/O. I need an output to start the motor, so it's going to be an digital output. I'm going to start it with contactors, for example. Then I'm going to add 2 more inputs or 3 more inputs for motor start, motor stop, and motor fault. So I can add, if I want to, I can add also a text, motor start, motor stop, and motor fault. And here I could just have this motor run, for example. So these would be the function text associated to these elements. Now, if I ran my report again, I'm going to update this report. And now look at that. It added all of the signals needed for each one of these objects, giving me a total number of signals. So right then and there, I don't have a drawing yet. I just have an understanding of the control systems that I'll need. I also have a number of I/Os or signals needed for that particular system. So there I can already start sizing my PLC system and maybe go to the various different PLC vendors and asking them what type of PLC could support that type of system. So there you can see that pre-planning can be very useful in structuring information, but also capturing certain types of information or data associated to the bidding process, allowing you to bid faster by collecting the information faster and making sure that you've defined it faster. And again, if I had a second building, I could simply copy and paste it, put building number 2. Another benefit is we have what we call templates, pre-planning templates. These pre-planning templates, they can allow you to store a particular drive, like this drive configuration. I could store it in my library of templates. So then when I decide to create a new project, let's say I don't have any conveyors, I'm going to delete these here. And I want to start defining my conveyors, I can go to my library with all of my templates in there, and I can simply drag an actuator in here for A1, take an actuator, put it in A2, take an actuator, put it in A3, and same is true here. I can just run a report, and there you go. You have your quote already done. So using templates with all of the data already pre-stored can be very useful to quickly and easily put a quote together and generate the information needed for bidding. That is using pre-planning for its structure, for its objects, without doing any design. Let's take a look at a design approach. So again, I'm going to delete all of this. And I'm going to remove this particular page. And now let's say I need to design a conveyor system for a manufacturing facility. I'm going to start with a conveyor, so I can use a conveyor macro. So now what we're using is we're using graphical objects. This macro contains the conveyor, contains a motor, contains 2 light barriers, and a cylinder. By using my tab key, I've got 4 different variations, vertical and horizontal at different positions. So I'm going to place one system right here. I'm going to place another system right there. And you can see as I place these graphical systems, the system logically captures again the information associated with them. So in this conveyor system here, you've got a cylinder, you've got 2 sensors, and you've got your motor. And if I look closer to these objects, you can see that the information behind them carries all the information needed for quoting, how much time it's needed to build, to plan, to program, and what it's going to cost. Now I'm going to add a couple of more devices, such as a turntable. I'm going to place my turntable right here. I'm going to add a couple of robots. So I've got a robot system here. Using the tab key, I can orient the robot however I need to. I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one here. And using my tab key, I'm going to put an oriented robot right here and another one down there. So now what's happening is you're doing a graphical pre-planning. A graphical pre-planning means you're using graphical objects, not just graphical objects, intelligent graphical objects that carry a lot of data with them. And this data can be data regarding bidding or quoting aspects, but also information regarding the PLC layout. So if I just took this system and I decided to go to my pre-planning report, and I would update that report with the new information, now you could see the entire quote or the bid for that particular system. You'd have your cylinders, your light barriers, your conveyors, your robots, and everything is added up to a total sum here at the bottom. And you can see here $84,000 for that system with a couple of robots associated with them. So this is just to give you an idea how pre-planning using intelligent graphical objects can really help you leverage speed and accuracy in quoting specific control systems. Now, the huge benefit is not only it helps you to quote it, but in addition to that, if I look beyond the robot system as an object here in my overview, I can see I have macros associated with it. And these macros can show me what the circuit diagram would look like for a schematic implementation. So not only I have the object for quoting and bidding, but also once I've won the bid, because I'm so accurate and efficient at it, I can also straight away use the information to drive my detail engineering all the way to the panel build and panel manufacturing aspect. So you can add as many different types of blocks. Like, for example, I've got a motor here. If I need to add an additional motor on that particular segment, I can just pop it right here and assign that motor to my second conveyor, for example. Just take it there and hit OK. If I had to choose the size of the motor, I could size it right here. And again, that motor could come with a lot of pre-planning information. I can also select a cylinder. Here's a pneumatic cylinder, and this pneumatic cylinder could also be positioned where I need it graphically, and it also logically is added to the tree or to my structure. I could have some sensors, for example, I need some proximity sensors, and I could just simply drop them here and here, wherever I need them for my particular application. Yeah. So a graphical pre-planning is not much different than what you might be used to today using CAD applications. However, there's a huge difference because the CAD blocks or the graphical blocks, as you understand them, now carry a lot of data with them. And not just bidding data, also graphical data, also logical data, PLC data, and wiring data associated to them. So a lot of information is now tied to these objects and can help you generate quotes a lot more faster, a lot more accurate. And on top of that, by doing that, not only you have a quote, but also you've got an initial view on what the system could look like. So conversations with your customer can be at a complete different level where he can visually see what you mean by the quote that you just provided, making the whole process a lot easier. So this kind of summarizes the approach of how pre-planning, the ePlan solution pre-planning could be used to help companies or engineering generate quotes or capture quoting information a lot more accurately and a lot more efficiently. And again, by the fact that you store these objects in templates, that helps you to remove the experienced aspect where you have to have that person that's done it multiple times and knows exactly the ins and outs to be able to quote the system. The ins and outs of that person are stored in that particular block in the actuator, and all of the information is there, so the user can just drag that information onto the drawing and just leverage that data and just use it from there on forward, knowing that based on the library it's accurate. On this note, I would like to now open the session to questions. So there is a Q&A panel. If you want to open that Q&A panel and you can start asking questions. I'm going to look at the Q&A panel and see if we have any questions in there. So if I want to explain to my boss what ePlan can do, what is the best way to do that? I like the more pragmatic approach of keeping things simple. And if you if you use CAD today, let's say you use AutoCAD, the approach to that is that, yes, you can do the same work, the result is the same, the difference is the time that it takes to get there. So if you have a project that you need, for example, 3-4 weeks to design, with ePlan, it would literally take less than a week. So the amount of time that it takes to design is really your huge benefactor there, where it's your ROI. Of course, it will take a bit of time to set up and to get to add the blocks that you need and to set up the environment correctly, but you don't have to do it all at once. You can go project by project. So let's say you have one project coming in, you attack that project with ePlan, you develop the blocks that you need for that particular project. Now you look at the next project, and suddenly a quarter of those blocks, if not half of those blocks, are already available, and you don't have to redevelop them. You can just use them and leverage that benefit suddenly. So it's an incremental process to gain the absolute ROI, but there's no doubt in my mind that the way that people traditionally approach an engineering project today from a graphical perspective is not the way to do it in the future, especially if people want to stay competitive and not spend so much time in the engineering process. So if you use other tools like maybe AutoCAD Electrical or even SolidWorks Electrical, the challenge there is, again, is the bottleneck is the underlying tool. These are two mechanical systems that are used as a starting point to do electrical. If you look at AutoCAD Electrical, for example, you will see that it's AutoCAD with a whole bunch of scripts and add-ons on top of it, which make the whole system AutoCAD very fragile in the sense of, what if I add a block which is not AutoCAD Electrical in there, and then you can break the system. So there's a certain amount of fragility in there, and you have to be very meticulous and structured to be able to stay there. Eplan is not that at all. Eplan is really just a database where you just start capturing your data, and if ever you made one mistake, you fix it in one spot and update everything else. So it's very streamlined in the approach to controls design. And as I said, if you want to save time in controls design, really Eplan is the way to move forward with it. Oh, simply what other software packages Eplan in a sense combines into one platform. So pre-planning is one where you have a specific structured tree that allows you to create objects and intelligent objects up front. The second software tool is Eplan Fluid. In this same environment, I'm just going to create a new page, and this page is going to be page 5, but it's not going to be a pre-planning page. It's going to be a fluid power schematics page. So here you could do things like pneumatic diagrams, you could do things like hydraulic diagrams, you could do cooling diagrams or lubrication diagrams. So here you would just open up the page. I can insert some symbols. I'm going to see if we have all the libraries needed in this case. So here you've got your pneumatic library, and you can see your fluid power library with your valves. Here you have a unidirectional valve, for example, so you can just simply drop it in there, and you can start laying out your entire pneumatic system. You can either do it symbol by symbol, or you can use a macro to start combining multiple different symbols. In this case, I'm just going to place a valve, and then I can select what type of solenoid I'm going to use for it, and then it's going to adapt the symbology associated with it. So now this is not a wire, it's considered a tube because it's carrying air. But behind that symbol, you can also add your part numbers, and you can store all of your information regarding your bill of materials, as well as your components for the 3D layouts. Then you have your electrical P8, which is your electrical circuitry. So this solenoid needs to be wired up. So if we go to a multi-line page here, schematic multi-line, schematic. Now I could go to the devices that I created. There's my coil, for example. There's my control valve. Where's that coil? It's actually here. Now where is it? Directional control valve. Let me go back to my page here. I'm going to, oh, that's a graphical object. I need to change it to a cross-reference. So now I can view that device in here. And this device, I can now use it in my electrical drawing. So if I went to my electrical page, I went back to my tree, I could simply drag this object in here and use it as this one here, and use it as a coil in my circuit diagram. So the thing is, the platform provides you multiple different software, so you can have pneumatic, hydraulic, electric, and also your 3D panel layout all in one environment. So here, if I create a new layout space, I didn't really change software. I'm just in the same software, but now I can go into my 3D space and design my control cabinet in 3D. So I could insert here an enclosure, select the part number, and drag and drop that component in there very easily. Let me see if this has a 3D. Yep. I'll take this part, for example, and there we go. So depending on the detail, you can have more or less detail, but now you could identify the backplate and you can start dropping the components in. So you already saw pre-planning for your preliminary planning and layout of your system, hydraulics, pneumatics, which is Eplan fluid. You have Eplan electric P8 for the controls design. Then you have Pro Panel, Pro Cabinet, and those are the major software. You also have Eplan harness if you have harness design requirements, and you have the data portal, of course. The data portal provides you with components for your environment. So if I'm here in the data portal, I can navigate the list of manufacturers, whether it's Allen Bradley, whether it's ABB, whether it's Delta or anybody else. Look for parts. So we can go here to Eaton, for example. I can look at the Eaton catalog. And now we've got electrical products. In this case, we got fuse and fuse holders. And here there's a couple of fuses. So here's the device, and I could use this device directly into my schematics, for example. So the data portal is another application that ties into this environment. But as you noticed, I stayed always in the same environment, same menus, same layout, just maybe different navigators, different views, different page types that help you to manage the data for your entire control system in one environment. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and make sure to stop by the Eplan Experience booth at the Rockwell Automation Fair at home and get more information about the exciting products and solutions that we have to offer.
Thank you so much for joining our Eplan Live channel here at the Rockwell Automation Fair at Home. We hope you're enjoying your day. Today, our conversation is focused around being partners in success. So today we have our guest, who is Jeff Kilburn, Managing Director from Eplan, Özlem Bieber, who is Account Manager at Eplan, and Jim Armstrong, who is the Automation Manager at Revere Electric. Revere Electric is a powerhouse distributor and partners of Rockwell Automation. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to the team to let them introduce themselves and get started.
So thank you. I'm Jim Armstrong, Automation Manager at Revere Electric.
Yeah, Jeff Kilburn here, Eplan Managing Director, Eplan USA.
And I'm Özlem Bieber, I'm Account Manager at Eplan USA. And I'll get us started here, and I'll start with you, Jim. Eplan and Revere Electric has been partners for the better part of the year, and Revere Electric is actually Eplan's one of first channel partners. And so for our audience, can you give us an introduction to Revere Electric and its mission?
Yeah, thanks, Özlem. Revere Electric is a fourth generation family-owned business, a distributor, electrical distributor with 10 locations. We serve Northern Illinois, primarily northeastern Illinois, Northwest Indiana, South Central Wisconsin, so kind of the Chicagoland, Milwaukee markets. We have a broad line of manufacturers, 300 plus manufacturing lines that we carry. One of our premier lines, and Debbie mentioned it at the core of the intro, is we're a authorized Rockwell Automation distributor. How we differentiate ourselves in the market is we're a solution-centric provider. Being that we're not a Rockwell distributor, automation is at our core, correct? But we also provide solutions on inventory management, motion control, safety, connected enterprise, green, and switchgear and lighting. So pretty broad base. And we serve a real mix of customers, OEMs, system integrators, and end users. Our mission at the end of the day is to deliver innovative, industry-leading, customer-centric solutions, really with our products and services to the industrial automation and electrical construction market. And we're excited to be a partner with Eplan, because our partnership with Eplan, when you look at what I just said and how it fits into our value proposition to our customers, we're excited about that. And you're right, we've had a very exciting 6 months, kicking it off last spring, right? So very excited.
Absolutely, it's been a great ride for sure. And Jeff, I know you had a prior relationship with Revere Electric before coming to Eplan during your 25-year successful tenure at Rockwell Automation. Can you tell us a little bit about what was your strategy for approaching to Revere Electric to become our channel partner, and why did you think that the two companies made a great match?
Yeah, well, I've known many of the great leaders at Revere Electric and for a long time, for virtually my entire career at Rockwell. And even in my time with sales, I got even tighter with them because I supported the state of Wisconsin and really got to know the organization as a whole. And so I had this, obviously this, pretty good impression of a highly valuable partner in the market. Revere is a premier organization. I think the whole market recognizes that. And certainly with Eplan becoming one of the founding members of Rockwell's digital partner program, it really made a lot of sense to have a common partner in the market like Revere Electric. And having a relationship with a lot of their leaders just made it a natural place to start. And so we started talking with the team, I guess it was a year ago last summer. And as we started having the dialogue about the value that Eplan provides to the customers in the automation market, and what Revere was trying to do and has been doing for a long time in the way of, virtually the support is unparalleled. It's virtually 24/7, 365, and they're a trusted partner of many customers in the market, and they're a market leading organization. I'd say a market making organization. And so for all of those reasons, it made sense strategically to discuss this with them. And as we went about that, one of the things that became evident very quickly was, and Jim can comment on this, I'm sure, is that Revere was already on the path of helping their customers figure out how to do this digital transformation. It's an overused term. Yeah, we all know that, but it's a fairly accurate state of the market. And there are a lot of customers are, we're seeing them recognize the value of ePlan every day. But we just felt that with a partner like Revere, we could accelerate that effort. And with their relationships as a trusted partner in so many companies and their markets, that it was kind of a match made in heaven. And yeah, we signed the documents just as COVID hit. So lucky have it as it is. But I think it's still been a good start for us, and we're looking forward to the future. And I think for me, another piece of it was too just the whole, like I said, the Rockwell Digital Partner Program, but knowing the value. Rockwell's made a huge investment in their data sets within ePlan on ePlan Data Portal, and having a partner in Revere that can take the power of ePlan, the power of the Rockwell data set, the value we can provide, and pulling it all together for a customer. And with their expertise and what they deliver in the automation space, with all their knowledge about Rockwell and how they help customers in the market, it just made sense. Yeah.
Well, we complement the data set by having specialists. We have multiples of specialists that support all the different Rockwell products alone. There's other products in the data portal as well, but there's product selection. There's access into the portal, but it's, we also help with the selection of the products that get put into the design, the supply of the products. I mentioned the 10 warehousing locations. So not only having a product in a design, but is it available, readily available, and we have questions about it, how to use it. That's sort of that partnership. I'm glad you brought up the digital partner program and all the technology that's coming out from TTC through Rockwell. We're still learning in that area a lot. I think all of our customers are learning, but we're really hoping and helping our customers lead. We're leading that dialogue with them to help move them down that digital journey. So we were excited that you approached this. I think it all kind of came to head a little bit last year at Automation Fair, with several discussions with your executive leadership and our executive leadership that I think really helped see what could be done. And like you said, we did a lot of work a year ago, a little less than a year ago, and then last spring hitting the ground running with a signed agreement. So. I did want to kind of make a comment that I do think that the partnership, I mentioned the solution sales focus beforehand. And one of the things that when we think about our customer base, we have a deep engagement with our customer base with 40 plus account managers, which is a pretty strong sales force. But in terms of our technical team, we have between the Milwaukee markets and Chicago markets, 30 plus automation specialists. So that's 70 some odd sales folks out there. And part of our task between myself and Jeff and Özlem on this phone is to really build that amplifier about what can be done. What can be done, what value can we bring to our customers given our combined efforts. So we're excited about it, and thank you for thinking of Revere and having these discussions so that we're now partners in this market.
Absolutely. I know that data portal is a huge value to our customers in terms of saving them time when it comes to creating part data, and Rockwell being one of the major contributors to data portal, that's all the more, it makes that value all the more important for our customers. But there's one other aspect of our partnership that I think brings a good value and synergies to our customers, and that's the PLC data integration. And Jim, can you talk about a little bit how Eplan and Revere Electric partnership actually helps our mutual customers with their PLC data integration and with hardware designs in Eplan and PLC data integration in Studio 5000 and IAB.
So we have PLC specialists as being a Rockwell distributor, and so they're engineers that are in the market. They help customers every day determine what the appropriate hardware is, but also helping them with software. And what's kind of neat about Eplan is it really ties in. It ties in a couple elements of that PLC automation programming environment. One is Integrated Architecture Builder. We call it IAB. That's an early step in a controls process where you select everything from your controller to your network devices. You can check network traffic, things like that, things of that nature. Well, Eplan offers a link for IAB to be imported into Eplan to give the hardware designer a head start into what those preliminary thoughts were into the actual hardware design. But what's cool, again, about Eplan is while you're doing your hardware, you create your IO and your tags, your physical links to the physical world, but those can get translated into Studio RS Logic's, the programming environment. And so what Eplan does, along with with the Rockwell ties and our specialists, really kind of makes that a cohesive design process from concept to programming. And what's we're excited about is we have a plan at Revere, Robert Janosiak. He's our Eplan specialist, Eplan leader. But what's neat about the IAB linkage, or the IAB and the linkage with Logix, is that it also pulls in all of our PLC HMI folks. So the folks that are traditionally selling control logics, compact logics, panel views, and helping customers with programming, they're actually helping sell and helping support Eplan with customers as well, because we're going to show, and we're showing customers how to save time throughout that whole process from concept to programming. I know Jeff mentions it, and we talk about it before, that what we're excited about Eplan is the whole from what do we call it, concept to commissioning, Jeff, is it? Or
Yep.
It helps that whole process out. And that, to me, is a great example of where the technologies help that out. The technology, but also the personal touch, the personal support from the wide range of specialists that we have.
And I think that's, to your point, Jim, that's really I think the power of working with Revere is that you guys can bring that whole value stream together with Rockwell and Eplan. And, we can talk all day long. You can show the customers that. You're there in geography. You've got the specialists with all of the knowledge, both on the Rockwell side as well as the Eplan side now, with building up Robert's expertise. And you can really expand that reach to help the customers, from like you said, that initial concept to commissioning, even into a maintenance, and we've shown that, but you guys can really make it, I guess, jump off the page with the customer, that they can comprehend what we're talking about now. And it really expands, I think, and this was the interesting part when we approached you guys. It was interesting to see that you were already trying to do that, to reach earlier with the customers. You talked about selection, but there's this whole area of engineering of the design before it gets down to part selection that Eplan can provide a lot of value. And now you guys can help the customers realize that. And, Rockwell calls it the digital thread. And I think there's value in that, because today, and for the last, I don't know how many decades, I've been in this business a long time, as have you, Jim, been doing this for a while. And, customers are using various tools, but there's often opportunities where You have to either translate it via it's, from the electrical design to the PLC design or back and forth, and keeping those in sync, even if you're the same person, is a real challenge. And having that connection between ePlan and Studio 5000 or ePlan and IAB on the planning side, we're able to make that bi-directional and adds tremendous value to customers that they don't have to worry is the PLC in sync with the electrical schematic design and vice versa. And I think you guys, again, you bring it all together for a customer and help them realize the value that we talk about every day here at ePlan.
Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
for sure. Because one of the comments that I frequently get from our customers is that, needless to say, the PLC code, right, the programming gets updated on the factory floor first, but then updating the hardware designs kind of fall on the wayside, right? So even after installation and post installation, this is a way for companies to synchronize their, again, hardware designs in ePlan and PLC programming in Studio 5000.
For sure. I mean, we could go on for an hour about all the other features, but I think that really hits home in terms of resonating about the features functionality within ePlan, but that tie into the whole system. The system is bigger, so good. It's good, and we're excited about pushing the envelope there even further, and really helping folks that are using ePlan today to understand and gain that value. But also customers that aren't using ePlan to make them aware of benefits that they can gain by moving to ePlan.
Yeah. So ever since ePlan became an Encompass partner with Rockwell Automation back in 2008, this is the first year the Automation Fair is being held virtually. So it speaks to the times that we're operating in, right? A lot of companies, due to the pandemic, had to reevaluate every aspect of their business, how they're conducting their business, and find ways to, especially in our industry, find ways to cut time and cost in engineering design and panel build. Stay connected with their collaborators and all the stakeholders, and also continue to get vendor support when they need it and where they need it. So I know, Jeff, we had to pivot very quickly, didn't we, to adjust?
Yes, we did. Yeah, Aslam, it really, as we all know, it changed all our personal lives as well as our business lives, and we're still fighting our way through this change. But as time's gone on, at first it was a kind of a very, not kind of, it was an extremely reactionary mode. And just as an example here at ePlan, we had to pivot from, in classroom training, and that's all we did, in classroom training and consulting with our customers, either at on their premises or at one of our locations, to completely virtual environment. So our virtual instructor-led training has been extremely successful. We actually made a promise to our customers that try it. If you don't like it, we'll reschedule you for an on-site training. This was early on at the time. And virtually nobody's taken advantage of that. Even as some of the restrictions lessened a little bit over time, everyone is very excited. In fact, the feedback's been, we got really a lot out of this training, maybe more than an in-person, because it felt more one-on-one, more, it was faster to execute the training. So we didn't have to organize everyone getting to one location. And we got more one-on-one time with the instructor because it was virtual and we could ask questions and we could have sidebars. And so we took really a quick reaction to this, pivoted very quickly, and what we found is this is the way forward. And we intend to do virtual training. We'll go on site or have our classroom trainings as the situation, hopefully, knock on wood, changes for us all. But virtual instructor-led training is going to be a big part of our future. When I think about and talk to customers about the challenges that they're having in their business, it's a lot of the same thing. How do we pivot really quickly? And there's been customers, a lot of customers come to us. We need to execute an automation project or change our manufacturing. We need to develop, start building face masks or face shields or whatever it was. So there was a lot of that. Even some people in the paper market had to build toilet tissue for a while because you all remember the shortages we had. So
Right.
it was a lot of customers are also going through their own pivot, and what we saw was the challenges that were always there got a little bit more exposed with this. So challenges in working remotely and staying on the same page, whereas you could have a meeting and sit side by side on a table and look over a set of drawings or review the PLC program. You now had to do that all virtually. And so it put some burden on their entire organizations to, and I'd say broader, at Eplan, we talk about the ecosystem of industrial automation. It's really, all the players from the end user or operator that's running a factory to the OEMs and integrators that help them and whoever's building the electrical cabinets to the component and automation suppliers like Rockwell Automation to the channel like Revere. How do you keep all of those people in sync with each other? And so one of the things that we saw, and we've done a lot of, marketing around is the capabilities we have in the cloud. And we were building these from the beginning, but they became more important for certain customers, and the ability to have that environment and that digital thread with Rockwell in a cloud environment to be able to share that became extremely valuable. And we've seen a lot of customers recognize that, and I guess the whole COVID thing has really been a catalyst for change. A lot of customers were thinking of this, but business has its own momentum, and this was a disruptor thrust upon us. And now we're seeing customers really embrace that change and think about, how do we do this in the future? How do we change the way we behave? And so we've seen it in our own business, and we see it now in our customers' business as well.
Well, certainly, it certainly causes you to rethink what you're doing. I give, right when we signed the agreement, in March, April, that's when all the stay-at-home orders were hitting.
Right.
And so a lot of our customers are, the engineers are working from home. Revere Electric warehousing stayed fully functional. We are a company that was allowed to stay open because of supporting vital businesses, food,
An essential company. Yeah.
Essential business, correct.
Yep.
So our warehouses have stayed fully functional throughout. But other than that, everybody went remote, which put a lot of pressure on, like you said, the digital connectivity, Teams, and things like that. And so, but what I found exciting was when it came to sharing Eplan's capabilities with customers. Özlem and I did a lot of Teams meetings with customers, and we were able to pull in resources from Michigan and from other locations that in some ways we've had more brain power at our customer meetings than maybe traditionally, right? We get a call, when are you guys coming in from Michigan? But because of stay-at-home orders and things like that, we can pull in a lot of resources, and we've had some great discussions and great demonstrations with customers. So that's a positive, right? The hard part is, and it has been a challenge, that when you're sitting across the table from somebody, you can see body language and you can see, so there is a change that way. But like you said, moving forward, it'll probably be a nice mixture. I think nice mixture of in person but also people are more open to digital types of meetings, Teams and WebEx. But the other thing that I think it does hit home is, you mentioned it, Jeff, the digitalization of processes, whether it be sharing information over the cloud, just sharing information with a common design architecture that's not spreadsheets and disjointed processes. Being able to share a design digitally, becomes seamless when engineers and panel manufacturers in different locations. So that part's been good, and I think we're positioned well to have those discussions with customers. That this is an advantage for using Eplan and partnering with Eplan and Revere as you mentioned at your engineering design ecosystem. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Well said.
So as we're about to wrap up here, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the current trends in the automation industry, and I was wondering what you guys are seeing in terms of what trends you're seeing out there, and our mutual customers should be paying attention to. Jeff, you want to start us?
Yeah, I mean, the trends are. I kind of mentioned it before. There is a trend, and it toward the cloud. Certainly, there's a lot of customers that have a different viewpoint on that. But look at our own personal lives, where we've got our own banking in the cloud, for instance. So on a personal level, we're getting more and more used to it, and I think the USA as a country in particular is on the forefront of a lot of that technology. And so we see that as, a natural trend. Not everyone's there yet, but we're ready there at Eplan. We're building more and more capabilities, and we see that as a long-term trend, and it just enhances the collaboration. If I look at today's environment, we email a lot of stuff back and forth, as Jim said, drawings and spreadsheets to execute an automation project. Is that secure? So you can, some people talk about the security piece, but I think it's a moving target, and this again is, I think, this situation is a catalyst for change. It enables a lot of customers to do that, to do a faster, which is really important. Certainly was important in the early days here, but it's always a challenge to do things at a faster pace. And so we see that as one of the key trends in the marketplace. And our goal is to be ready when our customers are ready. And we already have a lot to bring to bear. And working with a partner like Revere, I think helps us also to introduce that new technology and to talk them through their concerns, because people are rightly concerned about intellectual property and who has access to this, and and having a strong partner in the market that's a trusted advisor, like I said before, in Revere, makes all the sense in the world as customers are trying to figure that out for themselves. Yeah, one of the terms we use here at Eplan is the digital twin. With our ProPanel part of our solution, we offer customers a way to very quickly and efficiently develop a 3D model of their panel. And what that allows is a lot of customers to then step into the automation of panel building. So maybe, Özlem, you could share a few thoughts about that trend in the marketplace.
No, that's so true, Jeff, because Jim, really, this too, especially in our conversations with our customers. We always talk about the time and cost savings, not during the design, but also in the panel shop as well, right? And digital twin is a way for companies to really virtually validate the enclosure that they're going to build before they actually build it, right? Make sure that all the spacing issues are taken into consideration. The doors will close. They'll see exactly how everything fits, but that's not where they really they need to stop. There's so valuable information captured both in the schematics and also the enclosure, the 3D enclosure layout that they can now use in production of that enclosure. So two of the ways that they can do is, and we're seeing many companies really considering, and quite a few of them actually have gone in this way, is to automate the enclosure modification, because when they're using Eplan, they can actually capture that drilling data in their 3D enclosure layout. And then this data can be exported out and then imported into a CNC machine, laser jet cutting machine or water cutting machine. And then so that information, once it's imported into these equipment, then the enclosures can be modified automatically in these equipment. So that's a lot of time and cost savings as opposed to doing things manually. And speaking of using manual methods when building enclosures, and I see this all the time when I walk into panel shops, that many companies are using all manual methods to fabricate their wires, right? Cut, strip, crimp, label, measure the lengths, and they don't really need to do that. They don't even need to look at the schematics to capture all that information. It all can be printed out for them in a report format, but for more automated processes, they can actually export all this information, wire fabrication information, out of Eplan into their wire fabrication equipment. And so they don't have to manually enter this information, and certainly don't have to look through schematics. So these are, I think, the couple of trends that we're seeing, and panel builders really should look into more about it and consider to stay competitive, and in terms of saving time and cost on the panel shop.
That's right on the money, Aslam. I think, when I looked at panel building while I was inside Rockwell and now talking to all these customers, the numbers you'll see is that wiring, it represents about 60% of the cost of putting together an electrical panel. And so it's significant. And what you just described, I think, you can talk about a digital twin as a trend, but what's the value to the customer? And I think you pretty much nailed it. And they see that. And I think, Jim, you've seen that now that you've been interfacing with us together with the customers, that they see high value in this panel operations. Yeah.
And we're getting more and more requests for our panel modifications. We have in our warehouse in our facility in the Milwaukee area, we have a Steinauer machine that allows somebody to send us panel modification information. And our usages, we're seeing that go up.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing activity there. So good points, Osmond. We talked about one of them just before, the whole remoteness. So that's probably as big a trend that was maybe forced upon us,
Right.
The one I guess one I would highlight that we're seeing is, and I call it panel build strategies, however you want to phrase it. I think the way that a OEM or a machine builder maybe used to do machines, they would probably focus to do it all in-house, right? They do their design and their panel builds. And I think that we're seeing panel build strategies evolve, change. People are buying fully assembled panels from a panel shop. People are still doing it in-house. People are doing a combination. Revere is heavily engaged in that whole panel build strategy, panel build, how to go from, again, concept to commissioning. We offer panel modification services. We have services in general, engineering services, design, some design services, and the ability to help with commissioning. And I think the more digital that you are, the easier it is to share information. And so we're seeing, again, I guess I just kind of summarize it with, I think how panels are built or how machines are actually built by an OEM is changing. It's people are having others do a lot more of the work, but even at a single OEM, it may be a mixture, where they do some in-house and farm some stuff out of house. So I think that's a big trend, and maybe that goes a little bit in line with just the general trend in the market about either aging workforce, aging engineering workforce, and just technical folks in general, that you're needing to leverage folks outside of your organization. And I think tools like Eplan really help with that, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, right, well, thank you guys so much for having this great conversation. Thank you everybody for joining us today at ePlan Live. If you have any questions, you can absolutely go to either of our booths at the Rockwell Automation Fair at Home, the ePlan booth, or the Revere Electric booth, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Tim Order of Eplan Software and Services is a resident digitalization expert focusing on integrations and software implementations of the future. Here, Tim demonstrates how Eplan and PTC have partnered to support end-to-end customer process workflows, even at the post-installation stage. Using cloud technology, you can access relevant information to pinpoint a source of error or failure from anywhere, and thus identify the culprit in the control panel instantly. Here we see that a conveyor has stopped. The customer calls the service technician to look into the issue. The technician checks the motor on the conveyor and no obvious mechanical issues are found. The next step is to check to see if there is an electrical issue. Using Eplan eView and our augmented reality application based on PTC technology, the technician gets access to relevant mechanical and schematic information of the motor. The technician now analyzes the electrical path from the motor to its connected devices. To understand why there is no power to this motor, we take a look at the power supply in the schematics layout and spot the motor protection switches. Let's pause here for a minute because you looked a little surprised. Maybe this isn't familiar to you because in most instances, this would be a manual process for technicians. They need to pull plotting paper files, a binder manual, or a PDF file to analyze the plant infrastructure for analysis. But with today's progressive solutions, this process can be completed much faster with less know-how required. Hang tight, we actually have more to show you. The technician flips back into AR view for the mechanical plant and locates the control panel on the shop floor. Using the tablet once again, he scans the cabinet and now can see the control system in a 3D view using the data from Eplan Pro Panel. In addition, he can quickly locate the problem switch that needs to be replaced. The technician can replace the part and now also use eView to redline the schematics to show the work completed. This information can be sent back to the original Eplan project with supporting documentation. It's not unbelievable, it's Eplan.
Hi, my name is Jason McLeese, an application engineer here at Eplan USA. Thank you for joining us today at the Rockwell Automation Fair. I hope you enjoyed Tim's demonstration using augmented reality to support maintenance and operations. Right now, we are going to talk briefly about complete transparency with digital operations, smart manufacturing that lives in the cloud. Our story revolves around the integrated value chain. Here, we are looking at the operations step. Eplan eView, a new cloud viewing concept on the Eplan ePulse platform. Eplan eView, provide Eplan projects on the new Eplan ePulse platform. Enable efficient interaction between engineering and multiple downstream processes. Invite authorized users and allow them access to project information. View the Eplan project via Eplan eView web browser. Change how information is exchanged between engineering and maintenance via a redlining workflow. With eView, time-consuming searches in paper form are no longer necessary. This not only protects the environment, but also saves valuable time during commissioning and troubleshooting. Store. Upload and store the Eplan project in the cloud. Graphical, logical, and parts data. Share. Invite others to access the project information in the cloud. View. Visualize the ePlan project in the cloud using a simple browser. Redlining. Provide communication capability through the browser back to engineering directly from the cloud. Easy to use. Browser access from any operating system. Access from anywhere. Only an internet connection is required. Up to date. Always use the latest software. No installation required. Managed API. Third-party cloud-to-cloud services connectivity. New users. Production, assembly, commissioning, service, and maintenance. eView provides a simple upload from the ePlan platform for the designer or construction engineer. You have easy access from the browser, and so many touch points within your workflow will have access to the project. Production, commissioning, switchgear cabinet manufacturers, service, maintenance, management, PDM, PLM, and end customers. With the ease of use of QR codes, you have access to the current circuit diagram documents via ePlan eView. eView is integrated into the ePlan platform. Projects are directly uploaded from the platform into the cloud. Users are then invited to view the project. All necessary information for your uploaded projects can be seen in eView. View your uploaded projects in the ePlan cloud. Filter function to find projects quickly and easily. All project properties are available. Manage user access for the project in the ePlan cloud. Fast and easy page filtering saves time. All necessary device information is available in eView. The Device Navigator provides an overview of all available devices. The filter can be used, for example, to optimally display the production views by control cabinet. Simple selection of the device shows all detailed information and a link to the data portal. 3D models are available in View. View and navigate to 3D Pro Panel models. Filter for 3D installation space. Using the redlining workflow, comments on the project can be optimally exchanged between the design department and, as an example, production. Various redlining tools help to capture the comments. Redlining status creates transparency. A timeline helps to capture the entire change flow across a project. The redlining overview creates transparency for the designer to make the changes. Redlining overview integrated directly into the ePlan platform. All changes are available over the ePlan cloud. Easy collaboration between engineering and downstream processes. Here's an example of the redlining status. The eView user creates a redline. He can then delete it or submit it to the ePlan platform user for review. The ePlan platform user has the option to remove the redline or approve it. He can then take the next step of marking it done and providing a project update. Greenlining helps to reduce paper waste. It allows the eView user to make personal comments and notations. These are only visible to him or her. In the video at the beginning of this session, you saw Tim demonstrating how augmented reality works to support operations on the floor. But what are the benefits? For operators, shorter machine downtime, shortened use of technicians in case of service, faster localization of components, faster commissioning. For machine manufacturers, positioning as a technology leader, higher competitiveness, additional unique selling point, less research and documentation, less preparation time for technicians, higher technical knowledge through digitalization. Support your service and maintenance team with augmented reality. ePlan is proud to be a Rockwell Automation digital partner. If you have any questions, please let us know. We'll be here in the live chat all week. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ian Underhill. I'm an applications engineer with Eplan USA, working out of the Detroit office in Michigan. I hope you're enjoying your visit to the Rockwell Automation Fair at home. I would like to show you a piece of software from Eplan called ProPanel, which is part of the Digitize Your Panel Shop initiative. As I'm making the demonstration, if you have any questions, you can use the chat feature to ask those questions and we'll respond to you straight away, or possibly at the end of the demonstration. But for now, let's get started. Thank you. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how that fits in with the Eplan world. So Eplan, the project Eplan, is this bottom line here that underpins all our different tools. So we have various tools like pre-planning, fluid, electrical P8, which there's a demo going on with that one, Harness Pro D, and ProPanel, which is what I'm going to demonstrate. So all of these tools work on the Eplan project, which is the database. So having said that, let's look at ProPanel. So ProPanel is a 3D panel layout tool. It works generally with your existing schematics. So if I show you, I have this is an IEC project, but that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether it's IEC or an FPA style project. So I have a project here with schematics, with components in it that we use. And from that, we can generate a panel layout. So this is an example of such a panel layout. But to do that, first we've got to start somewhere, and we've got to start typically with a control panel. So let me demonstrate how we might add a control panel. So we do this in the layout space area. So I'm going to create a new layout space. I just right-click in the layout space navigator, and it pops up a dialog here where I name the layout space. So I'm just going to call it demo, and I get to pick what structure identifier. So typically in this IEC project, we've named the panels A1, A2, A3, A4. So I would pick in the structure identifier where I want that to be, so that when I did a bill of materials, it would know where to assign these parts. So if I did a bill of materials for panel A1, for example, it would know how to assign those parts. So I'm not going to select anything because that's not necessary at the moment. Then we're going to demo panel. So this is a blank layout space, a 3D environment. And for the panel, I'm going to use a retail panel. I will show you quickly that included in Eplan ProPanel, you have access to the data portal. So that's where I'm going to find my control panels. The data portal, again, is probably being demonstrated in one of the other rooms. But basically, it's a cloud-based repository for manufacturer's data. The manufacturer owns the data, supplies it to Eplan, and we just store it in a place where they can, where it's stored, and we can get access through from within Eplan. So I picked retail. I actually went and searched for a housing. So we can see there's all sorts of enclosures from retail. You could search, if you knew the part number, you could search for it. You can actually, there's a configuration tool with Eplan through retail that you can configure a panel, and we'll look at that briefly later. But I picked a panel. You could, once you found a panel, say for example, if it's this one, this one's got some accessories, you can download them all into a shopping cart and download everything. The panel I selected, I'll show you my shopping cart earlier. So I downloaded a particular control panel, which is It's a freestanding enclosure. I can't remember, it's in amongst this lot. But as you can see, there was a load of accessories that came with it. So there's the panel I picked, 1000 by 1800 by 400 mil TS enclosure with all the accessories that are related to it. So there's 107. And then I downloaded them. I'm not going to do that now because obviously it'd take a little while and you don't want to sit watching my computer work. But once I've got downloaded, once I've got the part in the parts database, which is what that does, I can just select from the menu. This is the menu to insert an enclosure. And this is the one that I downloaded earlier. So here's the panel. Gives me a little bit of information about it. So it's a rental cabinet with two doors at the front. So that's the one I'm going to use, and I select OK. And there's my panel, and I can just place it in my environment. It offers me a second one. So if I want to place the second one to bay them together, I can do that. And you see it gives you tools so you know how to line them up correctly. So I'm going to just put the two in here and then hit escape. So now in my demo, I've got two enclosures and we can see the different parts of the enclosures. I can show you the mounting panels, showing you the doors. If I want to add items to the doors, I'm going to show everything again. And I've got my control panel. I probably need a few accessories. These are a bayed pair of control panels. So I probably want a plinth. I certainly want side panels on each of these. So I'm going to select the one panel, go into the accessories, and here we see when I downloaded all those 109 parts, they're all tied together with this panel, so it knows what's available. So I want a wall. I'll pick a wall, and there's some different options. So I'm going to pick a screw fastened side panel. I don't want it so you can open it and lockable. I just want it screwed on. And for this one, I want it on the left, so I select that particular one, and then I add it to the list here at the bottom by selecting the down arrow. And I'm going to put a 200 mil plinth on this one. So here's the plinth, the base assembly. I select it and add it in. And I think there is a intermediate panel. I'm going to select one of these intermediate panels. I want it on the right. This one. Select OK. And you see it automatically adds it in the right place. The model is set up with mounting aids so that it knows how to connect the side panel and the. And I'm going to do the same again for this panel. Again, go to the accessories. Again, I'm going to pick a wall. This one, I want it to be on the right. And I'm going to pick the plinth, the 200 mil. So add that one first. And the plinth, add that one. Okay. So there you see quickly how you might put the panel together that you can then start laying it out. And if I just quickly show you, I show only the mounting panels. You see it's added that infill panel. So I can place ductwork and components right across the panel. So that's how you might pick a panel. I'm not going to do this, is obviously a very big panel. So I'm going to pick one a little smaller to demonstrate. Let's get rid of that one. I'm going to pick a panel that already exists within this project here. So I'm going to again select new. And I'm going to call it
B1 X1, if that's the name of it. Description, there's a junction box layout, and here I get to pick the structures. So here's the structure that I've got, the different enclosures, and here's the one that I would like to do. I want to do this terminal box. So it now knows anything that I place in this space is relative to that. So again, empty layout space. Let me add just a little junction box. And the particular one I want to pick, I'm going to pick this one here. So it's a 400 by 400 junction box with no mounting plate and without any gland plates. And I place that. Just want the one. What it does need is a mounting plate. It's got no mounting plate. So let me add that from accessories. And we see there's just one mounting plate. So there's my mounting plate in my box. Now I'm ready to start placing components. So let's look at it from the front, and we don't need to see any of the rest. We just need to see the mounting panel. So I'm going to first go and place some ductwork. Again, from the toolbar, I can select ductwork, and I have just a few items. Again, they're Rittel parts, but there are companies like Panduit and Tahalit that have duct available on the data portal. I'm just going to pick this one, which is nominally a 1 inch by 3 inch duct. And you see instantly it puts the grid up because it knows we want to place this ductwork on the grid, or have the option to. So I'm going to select here. So these grids are 10 mil grids, and you can see probably from the cursor that tells me the position of the point I'm selecting. And then I've just dragged the grid across. Now I could just randomly select one of these grid points, but I want this to be neat. It's 20 millimeters in from the edge on the left. I want it to be 20 mil in from the edge on the right. So I select my placement object options and select -20. Now I can pick the edge. And you see there, it's placed the right-hand end 20 mil from the edge of the panel. Now I want another piece, and it needs to be the same size of that. So I can use the dot length tool. I can pick this, and now I've got a piece of ductwork that's exactly the same length. So I'm going to place that there. And then lastly, I'm going to place some ductwork going down. And I use the A key to shift it. And the same here. So you see, very easily, I've placed my ductwork. Next, I'm going to do add some mounting rail. Typically, most times we're using DIN 35 mounting rail. So we have some mounting rail. That's the only one I've got available. Again, a Rittel component, but there are other manufacturers available in the data portal. And once again, I probably want a little bit of space. I don't want to be busted up right against the ductwork. That makes it difficult for the guy putting it together to fit it in. So I'm going to use the placement options tool to give myself a 4 meter gap. I can select the center, and again, placement options, and -4. So there's the ductwork. Now we need to start adding the components. And actually, maybe I want to move this down a little bit, so I'm going to move that down there, and I can adjust the length with my change length tool. I'll change the length of that one because I think I might struggle to fit the parts in. If you were doing it, you'd pay attention to what size of the parts were before you maybe made the ductwork. So there's my layout. If I go into a navigator we have, so in parts and devices and the 3D mounting navigator, this gives me a list of all the components, all the areas where the components are. Obviously, again, I don't want to search through this, so I can use a filter here, the mounting location, and I can either type it in or I can select from the list. I'm going to select this one, and it gives me a list of all the items from the circuits that need to be mounted. So you see it's added this particular item, which is the box, and here's the back plate, and then each of the bits of ductwork. So it's added that, so if I do a bill of materials, that information is available. I have one component here, which is actually some PLC device. I can select it, and I can just drag it and drop it in. That's simple. Now I just realized I actually want another piece of ductwork here, so maybe I'll give myself enough space. So let me add another piece of mounting rail. I'm going to select OK. I'm going to make the mounting rail match the length of this. I'm going to place the mounting rail here. And now I'm going to put the last components on. In this particular schematic, WD is the identifier they give to cables, so I'm not going to place a cable in here, but I am going to place terminals, and this is the terminal. XD is the identifier for a terminal strip, and I can drag the whole terminal strip. It will ask me if it wants to place the whole terminal strip. I can say yes. And there's the first terminal strip and the second terminal strip. And as you can see, I've identified the different terminals styles, the graphic, and the partition plates, the end barriers, and end clamps, as you see. Really easy. And if we look at it as a whole now, obviously, you can see you can work out clearance. My terminal's a little bit close to the bottom of the panel there, so I'd probably want to adjust that. But you can see the clearance available. You can actually measure it if you need to. So it gives you a lot of useful tools. So the last thing I want to show you before we're running out of time, so it's taking me a little while longer than I expected. Typically, you're going to want to show this diagram in the schematic, so someone can understand what it is that they're looking for or looking at. So if I go into my schematics, and I'm going to go to this area, the model view area, and I'm going to add a new page. I'll make it page number 1. I'm going to say it's the B1 X1 panel layout, and select OK. Here's a blank page. All I need to do is insert a model view, and I'm just going to do 2. The first one, it names it for me, asks me what layout space I want to look for. I'm going to pick this X1 junction box, and here it says, well, what do you want to display? I just want to show the mounting panel. And I'm going to give myself an isometric view of that and select OK. So there's the view. I can also do the same model view. Pick the same component, again, just the mounting panel. Lines fit. And there we see. It's not labeled as terminals because I've not asked for it, but it has labeled each of the other items. And you can adjust that as you might want to. So that's basically it. That's a very quick and down and dirty demonstration of Eplan. The one thing I will show you, let me, I'm going to just quickly, because this is something that you will do. If I'm just going to show you the mounting panel, if I happen to move this device, I need to close and then open that sheet back up again. It recognizes that the model is not up to date. So all I need to do, and this would apply if I'd added more components, change the components, as well as just move them around. I go to Utilities, Reports, and Update. And there it is, there's the updated layout. So once you've generated this, you don't have to go back and generate it. And in actual fact, you can create these automatically as a report like you would a bill of materials if you set it up. That's the most of the demo. It's a very quick introduction to ProPan. It's a very, very powerful tool. You can do things like exchange panels. So if I found I didn't have enough space in here, I can exchange the part. If I wanted a different panel of a similar size, I could change the panel. I've got a one when I could change this to a panel that has gland plates on the side. Exactly the same part, and it's just a straight swap. Something that would take you a lot more to do if you were doing this manual environment or maybe another tool. You can do heat calculations from it because it's capable of working how big the panel is. You can tell it what the parameters are for the control panel, the external temperature, what the ambient is, what the max internal temperature should be. It knows from the components how much heat they generate, so it's able to calculate a total power dissipation, which for Rittal, then you can add that information directly into the Rittal therm calculation tool, and it will offer you an appropriate cooling solution if necessary. So that's it. Do you have any questions?
So he says, this may have been addressed in one of the other sessions, but is Eplan capable of letting users know when something is missing? I'll let Ian take this, but the simple answer is absolutely. And I think, Ian, you can go ahead and kind of show him all those check marks and when something is missing.
Yes. So in basically, yes. This is a neat little tool. As you see, all the items that I know need place in our place, the check mark shows me there. If I deleted an item, it would stay in the list, but the check mark would go away. So, on a very simple basis, yes. There are also tools available. Eplan has got this check run option. So you open the messages and you go check the project. And I won't bother checking it, but I'll just show you. There are some specific checks for the 3D layout. So things like, is the part completely outside the mounting surface? So if you try to mount an item off the mounting surface, and you saw that was highlighted in with a grid, it would identify. Mounting clearances, are they observed? So for things like VFDs, where you have a a certain clearance typically above the VFD. Often they can be placed next to each other, but you typically have a clearance above them. You can check for those sort of things. And as you see, there's, without going through them all, there's 69 different checks, one of which was no part assigned to the placement. So you place something and you haven't got a part information. Various different informations, checks about what's in the just the 3D layout there, as well as obviously all the other checks that would check your schematics as well. The other thing, if I actually show you, let me find. I think this is a good one. So one of the things, if I look at the front, let's hide the door. So we don't need the door. So I can do things. If I go to the view, I can, for example, I look at mounting clearances, and you see here, here's the clearance that's required for this. It's an SEW Movitrack VFD. So they can be placed close together looking at this, but they need a certain amount of clearance at the top and the bottom. And that clearance comes direct from the part. This part comes from a manufacturer that's downloaded from the data portal. So this information isn't just randomly something we've typed in. This is what the manufacturer has said is the appropriate clearance for this device. And if I made it such that something was in the way, either another component or the ductwork, that error checking would identify that. I'll turn that clearances off. I can also view the thermal design. So let's have a look at the power dissipation density. So now you see the items that dissipate the most power are the most red. Items that dissipate the least are blue. So these orange, the most circuit protectors are somewhere in the middle. This items that dissipates a little bit. It's not. It's just on a general scale in terms of a percentage. You know, because this is red, doesn't mean it's dissipates loads. It's just the most within this panel. So the difference between this and an item that's yellow is purely sort of percentage. This being 100%, the item that dissipates the most heat, and obviously something that's blue being an item that dissipates the least. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that demonstration. Be sure to pop by the Eplan booth at the Rockwell Automation Fair at home and enjoy the rest of your visit. Thanks very much. Have a great day.
Engineering is going through a real revolution. Cloud computing, the Internet of Things,
and data integration have a huge impact on industrial production systems. An efficient exchange of digital data between the different engineering phases is necessary to prevent disruption. If you want to work efficiently, you must think in an integrated way. That starts in the concept phase. Thanks to the digitization and modularization of engineering data, you can immediately start with conceptual design. This smart customization ensures substantial time savings, better estimable offers, and sharper delivery times. Smart engineering stands for a smart connection of electrical, mechanical, and software data. Thanks to one virtual prototype, everyone speaks the same language. It opens the door to smart production. The digital twin with 3D info and other smart data ensures smooth communication between man and machine. The better and more accessible information is built up in the concept, engineering and production phases, the less time you'll lose later on in case of downtime. You can also store everything in the cloud, so everyone has direct access to the right digital data at any given time. It's crystal clear. Working in an integrated way creates added value, shortens the lead time of your projects, and reduces downtime in case of a breakdown. This way you create a great added value for your product. Do you want to know how you can do this? The different solutions within the Eplan platform support you towards an integrated engineering and production process. Your digital transformation with Eplan.
The Eplan platform includes products that are tailored to provide efficiencies in design and engineering of electrical and automation projects. Eplan has always been the tool that allows electrical engineers to excel and outperform the competition. Although Eplan may be part of your vision, you need to know for sure that it's going to work and that you'll be able to show your team. The Eplan guided trial team of experts can help you with this task. This test drive of sorts is not only free, but it includes a real project plan with guidance and support from an Eplan certified consultant. So what are you waiting for? Your journey starts here. info.eplanusa.com/guided-trial.
When we wake up in the morning, the world has changed again. And if change is the single constant of today, whether in automation, digital transformation, mechatronics, or electrical engineering, we should take change as what it is. Chance. Our mission? We want to design the future of engineering. Designing the future means being open to everyone and every idea. We connect engineers, systems, data, and disciplines worldwide for machine and panel builders. Designing the future means empowering. We empower engineers all over the world to realize their ideas. Our tools and solutions enable you to maximize your efficiency, customized to your needs, from simple to high-end. Designing the future means being future-proof. We lead the market with more than 50,000 customers and with 19 languages. We offer local support in more than 50 countries. This makes us the global partner for you and your future success. Because efficient engineering is when a plan becomes Eplan. Collaboration means being close to our customers, listening to your needs and your challenges, and understanding how we can help you to plan and shape the future. Let's Eplan.
Hey, I'm Johnny Wilson. I work for Eplan USA. I'm based out of Seattle. My favorite part for working for Eplan is that I get to work with new customers with having new challenges every single day. And it's great discussing their problems and delivering a solution that is custom and bespoke to that customer in particular. The coolest benefit from working with Eplan is I get to take away manual and laborious tasks away from the engineer, and he can focus on better tasks in his engineering.
Hi, I'm Joanna Pruden, and I just wanted to share a little bit about my experience with Eplan. So one of the greatest parts about working with Eplan is that we help all different types of customers. So we aren't tied to just one industry, so therefore neither am I. I spend a lot of time in front of my customers in their factories, in their shops, and getting to learn about every industry pretty much in the world. So we are a very hands-on company. We audit your processes. So the trade-off for that is that I see something new every day. It's always something different. And I interface with people from all different walks of life doing all different things. And it's pretty great. So for me, the best part I think that our customers benefit from comes from my background. I spent about 12 years in the process industry. And repeatedly, I would deal with the challenges of a customer referencing a drawing that had been updated in the field, but not updated in the records, or a customer was trying to swap out an instrumentation piece in the field, and that piece is obsolete or doesn't fit into the enclosure, or some version of that challenge. And inevitably, the documents don't match what's in the field, always. Even if parts of the documentation package is updated, not everything is. With Eplan, it's seamless to update a part. If you update a BOM, the drawing's automatically updated. It works hand in hand to where those challenges are gone. And what's done in the field is updated once, and every part of that document is updated. It's time-stamped. You know when it was changed. If you do have to replace a part, the data portal gives you a drop-down menu of what parts are drop-in replacements. You can easily match up the specs right in the data portal. So those maintenance issues are no longer challenges just to find out what's there. It really does become a guided design process versus just a document with a drawing.
The Eplan platform includes products that are tailored to provide efficiencies in design and engineering of electrical and automation projects. Eplan has always been the tool that allows electrical engineers to excel and outperform the competition. Although Eplan may be part of your vision, you need to know for sure that it's going to work and that you'll be able to show your team. The Eplan guided trial team of experts can help you with this task. This test drive of sorts is not only free, but it includes a real project plan with guidance and support from an Eplan certified consultant. So what are you waiting for? Your journey starts here. info.eplanusa.com/guided-trial.
When we wake up in the morning, the world has changed again. And if change is the single constant of today, whether in automation, digital transformation, mechatronics, or electrical engineering, we should take change as what it is. Chance. Our mission? We want to design the future of engineering. Designing the future means being open. Open to everyone and every idea. We connect engineers, systems, data, and disciplines worldwide for machine and panel builders. Designing the future means empowering. We empower engineers all over the world to realize their ideas. Our tools and solutions enable you to maximize your efficiency, customized to your needs, from simple to high-end. Designing the future means being future-proof. We lead the market with more than 50,000 customers and with 19 languages. We offer local support in more than 50 countries. This makes us the global partner for you and your future success. Because efficient engineering is when a plan becomes Eplan. Collaboration means being close to our customers, listening to your needs and your challenges, and understanding how we can help you to plan and shape the future. Let's Eplan.